I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor, and we have breaking news. Alright, this is the situation we have right here, and to say that everyone completely underestimated Hurricane Darby is a complete understatement. First of all, I want to show you this, this last frame, look at that, how symmetrical this eye is. Look how great this structure looks right here. Look at the eye wall. And let's actually go back to explain this thing. Let's go back 90 frames or 15 hours just to show you the context of the situation we have. This is where it was 15 hours ago. This was a Category 1 hurricane that we were taking a look at that was kind of starting to develop. As time went on, however, an eye started to develop, and not just an eye, it's a very concentrated, a very symmetrical, and a very good-looking eye right there. And that tells you something is, first of all, something's wrong. And if you're looking at minus 70 to minus 80 cloud tops continually just going around like this, wrapping around, that is a very bad sign. In fact, to fully understand it even further, but we're going to go ahead and look at the archives of the advisories right here. We're going to have to go back to the 5 p.m. advisory right here. It's strengthened into a hurricane. This is where we last reported it. Maximum sustained winds were near 75 miles per hour with higher gusts. Hurricane force winds still extended out 10 miles from the center. Pressure was 993 millibars right here. And this was at 10 o'clock at night, I believe. Yes, this was at 10 o'clock at night, Central Time. 6 hours later, this is 4 a.m., this is what happened. It started to strengthen. It was around 85 miles per hour, which that's a very good amount of strengthening right there. Which, looking back at it now, that's just laughable. But pressure went down to 998, so it was dropping at a rate of 5/6 of a millibar, or about 0.8 millibars every hour, which that's close to rapid intensification. What I'm about to show you next is absolutely jaw-dropping. This was issued 1 hour later, ladies and gentlemen. An hour later, they found winds. Recent satellite images indicate maximum sustained winds jumped, not just increased, but jumped from 85 miles per hour to 105. That is a jump of 20 miles per hour in a single hour. In fact, if we can correlate this, at the time this went out, let's see. The time this went out, I'm looking at the UTC time. This was actually around 10 UTC, about 5 a.m. Central Time. Let's take a look at what happened. We already had indications that this was already stronger than a Category 1 hurricane right here. And then they saw the eye. Then they just saw the eye wall. They started to see the eye really get very well defined right here. And that's when they realized this was much stronger than expected. Let's take a look at the pressure too. 975 millibars. Unless we saw a massive drop of 13 millibars an hour, the NHC severely underestimated how strong this was. 13 millibars in a single hour is almost unheard of. Just to give you some context, 1 millibar an hour is considered rapid intensification. 2 millibars an hour is considered explosive intensification. 13 millibars an hour. Now, I want to say this right now. I don't think the pressure actually dropped that much that fast. I think what happened was that the NHC severely underestimated how strong this was. Hell, I underestimated how strong the peak would be. My estimate was 80 to 100 miles an hour. Now we're talking about this thing getting up to a Category 4 strength right here. This is another Hurricane Douglas situation right here. Although I will say the Hawaiian Islands aren't going to be impacted that much. But just to emphasize this, 975 at 5 a.m. Central, 6 a.m. Eastern, down from 988 the hour before. Now, if we take a look at the satellite, it looked like the pressure had been falling consistently. In my opinion, the estimation the estimated rate the pressure was falling was around 2 to 3 millibars an hour. The NHC just didn't catch on to it. And I can tell, just based on the convection right here, we don't even have to take a look at the convection. Let's go to the visible shortwave right here, just to explain this. And we're going to go back once again to 90 frames, 15 hours. And this is where it was, and overnight, this thing exploded. Remember, in several videos I've made, hurricanes are known to strengthen, or at least they've been trending it this way. They are known to strengthen a lot faster overnight because the sun is limiting how cold those cloud tops are getting. This is what happens. This had very low wind shear, very warm. Must have hit a pocket of very warm water for it to explode like this. And you can see the eye starting to form. You can see that this thing really looks symmetrical. Like, let's actually go ahead and go back to 30 frames just to show you what I'm talking about. Like, look how symmetrical that eye is. Like, that stadium effect is absolutely insane. Now, I want to say this right now. Hurricane force winds extend out only 10 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend out 60 miles from the center. Here's the problem with that. The eye right here, it looks like it's around double that. I think, in my opinion, if I take a look at this, if we look at how large this looks more like a 20 to 25 mile eye right here. That means that a 10-mile radius of 10 mile from the center radius of hurricane force winds, either they are underestimating that, or this hurricane has a very tight pressure gradient. The reason I think they're underestimating this because where those hurricane force winds are, because if you do the math, a 20-mile eye and 10-mile hurricane force winds, that's unsustainable. Either the eye is going to shrink, or an eyewall replacement cycle is going to take place. You can't go through either. There's no other option at this point. If it undergoes an eyewall replacement cycle, that means the winds will have to expand, and basically just the storm will get much larger. Now, if the eye starts contracting, that means the storm is continuing to strengthen. I'm going to take a look at the frames in the last hour just to show you guys. Okay, come on. Okay, there we go. And it looks like the eye started off small. It actually got a little bit bigger as time went on. Either stayed the same size or it got bigger as it got more defined. This is a circular eye right here. Like, I have not seen a good enough eye. I have not seen such great structure since Dorian. That's how impressive the structure is, and that's how strong this thing got. And now the NHC is now expecting this thing to get up to Category 4 status. We're gonna go back to the archives. They updated this 3 hours later. Darby was then a Category 3 with winds of 120 miles an hour. Now this is the latest advisory. We have winds of 125 miles per hour. This is a high-end Category 3 hurricane. Category 4 status is almost expected at this point. Like, it's literally knocking on the door of it right now. This is now the strongest hurricane of the hurricane season right here, of either the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean. We had Agatha as a hurricane. We had Blast as a hurricane. We had Bonnie as a hurricane. That was our first major hurricane. Now we have Darby, which looks like it's going to be our first Category 4 hurricane, and it's July 11th. This doesn't just have implications for the Pacific season. This has implications for the Atlantic hurricane season as well. The only thing stopping anything from happening in the Atlantic is the vast amount of wind shear that's across it right now. That wind shear is going to start breaking down in the next few weeks. And considering that we're already at high-end Category 3 status right now, like, my stomach is even hurting thinking about what's going to happen in the next 2 months. But anyway, that's going to be the video. I need to talk about this because I have not seen intensification like this since Hurricane Sam last year. Exact same situation. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button and stay safe.